Hey, this is Mike from Minimal 3DP, and today I'm going to work on calibrating my Sovol SV08 using the calibrations in OrcaSlicer. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I upgraded the hot end on my Sovol SV08 to the Micro Swiss FlowTech, and I basically haven't had a chance to calibrate anything, and so I want to get started with that printer and get things rolling. Now, I have the latest version of OrcaSlicer, and I've done a calibration video or a series of videos in the past, but you can consider this an update. Things have changed a little bit, and I just want to do a refresher. If you go up to the menu here, you can see the order of the tests. Now, I never really thought anything about the order of the tests, and typically I did flow ratio first. Now, with that being said, I've read the calibration guide, which I hadn't really looked at before, at least that thoroughly. And now I'm noticing that they're actually recommending you do these in the outlined order. So what I'm going to do is just do a series of videos on each of these calibrations, and I'm going to shoot for less than 10 minutes. And ideally, this will help you calibrate your printer and, in my case, calibrate the SV08, which is just sitting here gathering dust. So let's switch over and take a look at my current settings and then see where we need to go from here. Now, in my case, I've set up my initial profile to sort of follow the standards I use for all my printers. I use percentages through the line widths. And that way, if I do eventually decide to change nozzles, I shouldn't need to change anything here. I'll just need to change it over in the printer setup. I've done the contour and hole and the seam lines as I normally do. I am going to change this from Arachne over to Classic, and I'm just going to do inner outer rather than the inner outer inner. I'm going to hit Z contouring is going to be enabled. I'm going to leave that as is. So there are a couple changes I'm making here that I didn't notice I hadn't done. Let me just scroll back up here. I think everything looks good. I'm going to save that. And then I've created a new profile for the filament. I have a Silk PLA in here. Everything here is pretty much the default right now. I did bump the flow ratio up to 1 and turned on pressure advance, but I'll be adjusting those once we run those tests. All the other temperatures are defaults, and let's go over and start with the temperature tower. So the easiest thing to do here is just go up to calibration temperature, and I'm using PLA. It's actually Silk PLA. I'm going to leave everything here as is and then hit OK. So this generates a tower for me. Now, one thing I would do, because this tower is tall and only has a small base, I'd go over to Other, and let me scroll up. Make sure that you have it set to Auto, because that should, once I hit Slice, generate a brim around the bottom. So I want that brim there, so that's to hold the print better to the base, give it a little bit more oomph there to hold things. Now, the way this temp tower is working, it does the hottest temperature first, and then does 5 degrees all the way up, and I think I did 190 to 230. So the very top is at 190. So let's go ahead and print this, and we'll send it to the printer, and then let's review the model and see what it looks like. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that this temp tower is pretty awful looking. Now, I've typically printed at 220, which is down here. Now, what I'm looking for is the layer that looks like it's the highest quality, least issues, and least stringing. So over here, you can look and try to find the stringing, looking at the quality and layer adhesion across here. And wow, this is really tough to look at. Now, let me look at the other side. The other side actually looks much better. So let me look at it from this direction rather than here. Oh, and part of that is this over here. Okay. So let me keep looking at this and see if we can decide what layer looks the best. I'm going to look at the sharpness of this corner too. I'm going to hold right here. So maybe I'm looking between 210 and 220. I think I'm actually leaning towards, well, maybe 205. Let's see. Well, the layers look good here. So 205 looks like it has the least stringing and the least defects over in here. Now this is brutal to look at. There's going to need to be a lot of tuning. Or maybe, better yet, let me go with 210. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 210. Let's look at that. The back of that does look good. So I'm going to go with 210 as my printing temperature. Now in my case, I do a little hotter for the initial temperature. So we're back over an OrcaSlicer. I'm just going to go up here, click on the filament. I'm going to scroll down here. Now this is, make sure we're on PLA, and that's the Silk PLA. I said it looked good at about 210. So I'm going to start at 215 for that initial layer, and then go a little cooler for the rest of the print. So I've moved that to 210. Now, personally, I like a little bit hotter bed. I'm just going to bump that up to 60. So we've done that. I'm just going to save my profile. And that should give us, at least for right now, the ideal temperature for this model. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out here, nuances. So when you're looking at the temp tower, again, you're looking for how the layer adhesion looks like, little stringing. So as little stringing, you going off this image here because you could see it a little bit better than me holding it. Now, I also want to point out, and this is real important, if you're looking and let's say on this model, I think the best is between 95 and 205. I'm actually going to select 200. So if you have a range, select a temperature in the middle of the range. Now, one last thing to note, that the temp tower, the way it's set up, this is good for whatever your nozzle size is. It adjusts so that way it's scaled properly. Now, stringing, lower temperatures typically reduce stringing. Higher temps, better for layer adhesion, overhangs, higher temps. But then again, too high and you get sagging, surface finish. You need a balance between flow and temp. Now, in our case, we've selected the temp tower. So the next test, we're going to go ahead with that max volumetric speed. And so in my next video, I'll cover the max volumetric speed. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. As always, I appreciate your support. Talk to you again soon. Bye.